doing, everybody, and welcome in to another crossover, the Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trades, Brutally Honest Sports crossover special here. It's Friday. It's June 28th. It's a fantastic Friday. And, a little bit of a flip of script. Usually I'm coming on here talking about severe weather, tornadoes, everything in between. We got some rain coming to Wisconsin, but Pennsylvania the other day there was having a little bit of tornado issues out there. This guy's over here complaining about hot weather. Now he's getting tornadoes. I got Aaron with me from Brutally Honest Sports. Aaron, how we doing? It's Friday. It's a fantastic Friday.
Yeah, honest to God, I guess I'm lucky because I live on I live in the southeastern part of Pennsylvania, more towards the Philadelphia region. I'm not considered a suburb because I'm about an hour and a half away. I'm about an hour and a half away from Baltimore. I'm kind of like smack dab right there. But these tornadoes, you bring it up, Allegheny County. If anybody knows Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, that's just, you think of Allegheny County, it's Pittsburgh. That's how it is. So yeah, obviously thoughts, prayers with the western part of the state. Pretty cool area out there. I only went to Pittsburgh once, but I enjoyed it. It's a cool place. It's different. It's very, very different than most cities. I'll put it that way. But yeah, fortunate to be where I'm at. Glad you guys aren't repeat offenders as far as the tornadoes go. Let that go. That doesn't need to come back. But yeah, it's a Friday. You bring up June 28th. This month is zipping along. I feel like we just came into June, and I told you this before. It'll be July 4th before you know it. We're fast approaching July 4th. Once that happens, I'm like, shoot, watch summer just fly by. It's just crazy. Where is the slowdown button? Where can I purchase that? Because it's madness how fast time is going. But it's good. Everything's good. Just a lot going on as usual.
Oh yeah, lots going on. You used to be able to get the slowdown button at Kmart, but now Kmart's closed, so it's no longer for sale out there right now. So glad that everything worked out for you. And yeah, thoughts and prayers with anybody who has been affected. They're talking about more rain tomorrow, like I said, Wisconsin, and then next week more rain. So we can't get away from the rain. It was getting dry. I'm gonna say it got dry out a little bit. So the dirt roads will just get a little bit of rain on them. Won't be dusty anymore. That's always good news there. So lots of good stuff happening in the sporting world. We got lots happening over the weekend. We got a couple weekend series to talk about. Phillies, Brewers, not playing each other, but we got a weekend series for both of them we got to talk about here. The NBA draft just wrapped up yesterday. We're going to be talking about that because there was a lot of interesting picks and pieces in there that, we got to get into today. And some NFL news, some NFL and football news to get into today. A little bit of everything. We're going to touch all over. So right away, the NBA draft started out Wednesday night there. We saw the first couple picks. We talked about it yesterday on the show here, but we had the first couple picks there. A couple guys from France. We got some Kentucky guys in there. We talked about the Bucks' first round pick there, AJ Johnson, a little bit of a no-name athletic scorer who averaged 2 points a game in Australia. So an very interesting pick by the Bucks. We didn't talk about the 76ers there, and I believe the 76ers picked Jared McCann from Duke there. And for a team in the 76ers who are looking for, and this is just my opinion, I want to hear yours on it there, but a team in the 76ers who were looking for a running mate to put with Tyrese Maxey in that guard position, this is the guy right here, Jared McCann. He's a very, very good guard, very good shooter, physical, gets after guys. He paints his fingernails, and yes, some people might take offense to that and everything like that. But this dude, watching him play at Duke, he's a tough son of a gun. I don't really give props to Duke players very often. Everybody knows about my hatred of Duke. It stems from 2015 national championship. But he's a guy, gets after you, physical, can shoot the basketball, and when he gets on a burner, he's on a burner. He's not very big. He's not very big. He doesn't have a lot of length to him. He's not the quickest out of the shoots, but this is a lanky, athletic guy who can get after you on the defensive end. He's going to be tough. He's going to rebound. He can shoot. I think this is a good running mate for Tyrese Maxey. Maybe a guy that can take the load off of Maxey and allow him to possibly play like a two-guard position. So, Aaron, first-round draft pick for the Sixers. a little bit more understandable than what the Bucks did, where they're almost building for the future. This seems like a guy who can contribute right off the bat if needed.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know as far as we can project everybody. Oh, this guy's going to be this or this. You can do that with any sport, any draft for that matter. But I mean, just kind of looking down. You mentioned a lot of things already. Like one thing I will say is, he hardly ever turns the ball over. He's 453rd lowest turnover rate in the nation. So I mean, I don't even know how many we're talking as far as that are worse, or I'm sorry, better at not turning the ball over than him, I should say. But yeah, I mean, like you said, to run with Maxey there, that makes perfect sense. Like you said, he's not very big, so that could be a knock on him. He was a one and done guy, so 5-star recruit, a 2023 McDonald's All-American and California Mr. Basketball. I've actually never heard that term before, but I mean, yeah, he has some pedigree, obviously. I mean, you're going in the first round, you expect this guy to have some pedigree. That's just how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I like the pick. Like you said, it makes sense. I'm curious to see, like we mentioned before, I think the Sixers have like some of the most free agents of any team in the NBA this offseason. And it's been projected they're going to do some of the most, wheeling and dealing to get new faces in the building. So yeah, long story short, decent to good pick, most likely. We never know, though. I mean, this is like playing Russian roulette with these guys. He could come in and be, a great player. He could come in and be, an absolute scrub. We just don't know. But yeah, I mean, he has things that you like, obviously, and it makes sense for where they're going. It's just, I mean, without, it's not. I'm not gonna say anything that's mind blowing here. I mean, Boston is the team you got to beat now. Like, everybody in the East is looking up at Boston because of obviously winning the whole thing. But it's how do you get closer to being that pedigree right now? And hopefully this makes them closer. It's just time will tell, and we'll see how this guy will transition to the NBA in year one for sure.
No, 100%. I agree with you. This draft was tough because if you look at this draft as a whole, these were a lot of guys who are going to take time to develop. It wasn't one of those drafts where you're getting Zion or, you're getting some of these year one contributors, Victor Wembanyama and some of those kind of guys. This wasn't this draft. This was a draft where you're going to build for the future. These are guys who need time. And that's what you look at the Bucks pick. They're in the 23rd spot. They got AJ Johnson. This is a guy from Australia, averaged like 2 points a game. Like, this isn't a big time top scorer kind of guy. This is a guy where they saw some athletic promise. They saw some scoring promise. They said, hey, maybe we can build this guy. I'm not a fan of the pick because simply I thought the Bucks should have shot after somebody who could contribute to them right now because you have an aging roster and Giannis, Dame, Brook Lopez, Bobby, Middleton, all of them are aging. This seems like a win now period for the Bucks. But I mean, we look at 2013, we saw Giannis coming in as this skinny dude who was weighing like 160 pounds, and everybody was like, what are the Bucks doing? Now we look at Giannis, and this dude is built like a brick shithouse, and we wouldn't mess with the guy. I mean, AJ Johnson, he's similar in build, like not as tall, but this dude is, he's 165 pounds wringing wet. Like, he's a small guy, not very built, and the Bucks are just looking at the ability and saying, maybe we can build this guy there. I thought what was funny coming out of the first round was Jason Tatum, after the first round, he tweets and he goes, teams are going to be, they're going to be upset for passing on Flipikowski from Duke there. His team passed on Flip. They had the 30th pick. Flip was still available. They went for Baylor Shireman from Creighton there. It's like, dude, your team passed on him. So shouldn't you be telling your GM, hey, maybe we should have gotten Flip because I'm talking him up right now. I did hear, though, interesting news about Flipikowski. Apparently, he's not on good terms with his mom, dad, or his family right now because his girlfriend is and this is, I'm not trying to say this to be mean to anybody out there, so nobody take offense to this. It's just me just repeating a story that I heard. Apparently, his girlfriend is a Mormon, and she's trying to really, like, nail him down right now. Like, she's 28 years old. He's, like, 21 right now, and she wanted a ring on her finger when he was just getting to Duke. which was an interesting story. And I mean, there's a full story on it. I'm not going to dig too deep into that there, but a lot of people were speculating that that is why Flip dropped so low there, was because of that. Was because of all the outside stuff and his bad relationships and everything. I mean, he's going to the Utah Jazz, so poor guy is already screwed. But I mean, just a baffling story coming out of the NBA draft. I just saw it on social media. I don't even know if it's true. But just a baffling story there. We did see in the second round, though, the Bucks did take Tyler Smith from the G League Ignites. He's a 6'9", 224-pound small forward there. And, I mean, he's another guy, just like A.J. Johnson, not a good defender. And the Bucks needed defense. And he's not a good defender. He can score it. He's a lanky, athletic, can score it kind of guy from the wing position. He's just not he's not a good defender. And that's where I think the Bucks have missed twice now, is I thought they had to go for defense. Now, if you look over the past, I saw a stat for the past, how many NBA championships, and not a single, there was one team in the past, 5-6 years that has had a rookie actually contribute to a title run, and that was the Nuggets with Christian Braun. Outside of that, no other team who has won the finals has really had a rookie contribute. So it's not like it's life or death. But the Bucks have absolutely zero money to spend. Absolutely none. Unless if they start clearing the books, they have nothing. We got Chris Middleton locked up. We have Giannis on a big deal. We have Brook Lopez still on his big deal. We have Damian Lillard on his big deal. We can't afford a bag of sand right now. And, I mean, so you look at the draft and you're like, this is where you had to add some, not experienced pieces, but some physical, defensive, we can score it a little bit pieces there. And the Bucks didn't do that. I don't think they did that. Maybe Tyler Smith proves me wrong. Like you said earlier, I mean, it's so hard to gauge these guys. They could be great. They could be bust. Zion Williamson was supposed to be the next best thing. And, I mean, so far, yes, he's been good. I'm not saying Zion Williamson, when he's been out there, he's been good. But this was the talk of him was this is the next superstar. This is going to be the face of the league. Watch out for Zion. And he got in there, and he's been good. He's been great at times, but he's never taken it to that next step. He's never gotten up to, I hate to say it, but LeBron James status in the league, or, that kind of status in the league. He hasn't gotten there. And so, I mean, it's exactly right in what you said before, where you don't know with these guys. I mean, this might have been projected one of the worst drafts in a while, and it might end up being with a lot of stars that come out of it. We don't know how it's going to shake out there. I was looking for the Sixers pick there. Oh, they got Aiden Bona out of UCLA. Big man there, 6'8". A 6'8" center there. Interesting. That's interesting.
I think one of the selling points for that draft pick of, like you said, Aiden Bona, I'm hopefully saying that right. He started in all but one of his 66 games at UCLA. I guarantee they're sitting around the table we do have Joel Embiid, who, once again, just a guy that kind of, every once in a while, he'll step out of his house and stub his toe and fall down all the steps and break. It's just certain guys find a way, and I get it. He's a big man. What big man stays healthy all the time? I mean, we've seen Jokic, we've seen Giannis. You know what I mean? All those guys we've seen in stretches that go through injuries. I get it. We even saw it with Jalen Brunson as a point guard last year. We've seen it with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. People get injured. That's just part of the deal. But maybe they were looking at him okay, well, at least in college he was durable. He might not be the biggest guy. He might not set the world on fire, but having availability is nice. And I mean, maybe if he just is a kind of a rim protector at times, and can just, obviously he's not this isn't a guy that's going to come in and compete with Joel Embiid or something like that. It's just not. But I don't know. I just feel like sometimes it would because the NBA second round is kind of I compare it to the NFL's fifth or sixth round or whatever. You know what I mean? It's you're picking off a scrap heap at that point, and you're just kind of trying to go with something an attribute that they're a team likes, or hey, we favor this guy because he's durable. We favor this guy because he plays great defense, or what. Like if they have one outstanding trait or whatever, teams are going to kind of go that way. Maybe it's a philosophy of the team. Like, okay, we want a defensive team. We're going to pick a guy in the second round who's more defensive than off, whatever. But like I said, I mean, I think that's one of the major selling points. Now, will he do much of anything? Time will tell. But if he can just be available, be a contributing factor off the bench, I mean, maybe that's his ceiling, and maybe for them that's okay. I understand that. Like, you bring up a good point. The NBA doesn't. It's not like the NFL where it's like C.J. Stroud takes over the entire league year one. You know what I mean? Like that just rarely ever happens in the. I mean, we've seen obviously like the LeBron James draft with Carmelo Anthony. Like they both came in together. They both kind of took over right away as far as just impact wise. But yeah, it's rare to see that. So we'll see. I mean, he's a big man, but not really even a big man, like you said, in a sea of where everybody's 6'10" and 7 foot. So.
Yeah, and I mean, the big thing, like you were talking there with that draft pick, was looking at the centers that were left. There wasn't a lot to pick from. I mean, they were just, we need a backup center. We need somebody cheap. We need somebody young. Maybe this guy can just get us boards, and he can give Joel Embiid some minutes off. Maxey can pick up some of the load there, scoring, everything like that. Sometimes that's all you need. I mean, you look at a guy like Andre Drummond. Like, is he a really good shooter? No, he's not. He can finish around the rim, but he's not a great shooter. Sometimes you just need that rebounder. And, that could be where they were leaning with that pick. That could be a solid pick. In the end, that's something that I wanted the Bucks to do, was to have that backup center, somebody who could just get in there and rebound the basketball. Because at times, I mean, you got Dame, you got Giannis, you got Middleton. You don't need another. Well, it's great to have another scorer on the floor. I'm not going to say it's not great to have another scorer, but you would have a guy who might be a little more athletic, who can get after guys in the defensive end while rebounding. Doesn't have to be this big-time three-point shooter. I think that's where sometimes these teams, I mean, yeah, it's great when your center can step out and shoot a three, but at the same time, I would love a center who can get down and get dirty on the glass, too. I need a guy who can do that at times, and I think that's where a lot of teams are getting away from. You look at Brook Lopez with the Bucks. He's getting really slow. I mean, with age, he's getting slow. That's not his fault. He's just getting older. That happens. I mean, you get older, you get slower. It just happens that way. And Brook is getting to that point now where he gets from the three-point line to about the free throw line, and that's it. And he's getting like 2 rebounds per game. Like, it's a problem when Damian Lillard and Beasley last season had more rebounds in a game than Brook Lopez. He's a 7-footer. Like, that's his job. That's what I pay him to do, is get me boards. And when he's not, that's an issue for me. So this is a guy, I'm not, if I was a Sixers fan, this pick is not terrible. It's not. I mean, like you said, maybe he doesn't develop. Maybe he doesn't turn into nothing. But at the same time, maybe he does. There's been a lot of guys, I mean, like you were talking, their second round is just picking through the pile. There's a lot of undrafted guys who actually end up being big contributors on NBA rosters. They just pick them up in the wires and the free agency and everything like that, and they end up being big signings. Like, it happens. It has happened before. So we could see some of these other guys out there. I know there was a couple of centers left, like PJ Hall out of Clemson there. Still a solid name. Justin Edwards, shooting guard there out of Kentucky, can shoot the lights out of a building there. Jalen Bridges from Baylor. This is a great defender. Kashad Johnson, a great defender there from Arizona. Lanky, athletic. Like, there's a lot of lanky, athletic guys out there left that haven't been picked up by any teams there. Still some great players available. So we could see a lot of these guys get signed yet there and thrown out onto some NBA rosters. Maybe they develop. Who knows, right? It's going to be interesting. It'll be an interesting race to see who will have the NBA Finals wrapped up this next season. We saw the Celtics win this year. What's it going to look like next year? I don't believe in Boston win it 2 years in a row because they suck. So maybe the Bucks will be back. We'll see there. But flipping it over to Aaron here. Aaron's going to lead us into our next little segment here. We got some NFL talk, some crazy news coming out of the NFL.
I mean, yeah, it's not, hey, this such and such guy. I mean, there has been, don't get me wrong, there's been some guys that have gotten arrested this offseason, but, we'll kind of take some negative energy away from the players for a change and kind of project it right onto the league as a whole. I mean, So the whole Sunday ticket, I mean, if you know about DirecTV and whatnot, and I'm not going to go into the intricacies of the streaming rights and everything like that. I don't want to bore everybody to death. But it's so basically a jury in the U.S. District Court ordered the NFL to pay more than $4.7 billion in damages on Thursday, just, basically yesterday, as this podcast, as we're talking this week. But, after ruling that the league violated antitrust laws in distributing out-of-market Sunday afternoon games on a premium subscription service. So the jury awarded that $4.7 billion in damages to the residential class and $96 million in damages to the commercial class. So, I don't think Trajan or I are seeing, a dime of this. I mean, you hear the words like residential. I mean, hey, if I'm watching it in my house, am I in the residential class? I don't know, but yeah, the NFL losing, a little more than 4.7 billion. That's gonna make a dent. That's gonna make some we talked about off air a little bit. That's gonna raise some eyebrows across the the top, the guys that run this league and ladies. I can't discriminate there, but I mean it's I don't know. I mean it's a weird thing. Like, I was trying to read more on it. They said that the NFL will appeal it. So I'm sure, this isn't completely done or shot through because the NFL doesn't want to dish out that type of money. But yeah, it's quite interesting. I mean, as you read through this a little bit more, it just seems like they're kind of crossing lines with, oh, this streaming service has this right, or X and Y. And things are getting more complicated now. Trajan will know, week 1 this year, the Eagles and Packers play, and it's on Peacock. Like that now, how does that impact, Sunday ticket? How does that impact Fox NFL Sunday? Like, everybody's kind of competing for this space. So, like I said, I don't know this case as much as I should put, but it is interesting, and it's obviously not a great day for the NFL as far as, just losing billions of dollars, even though they just print money at will. I mean, they really do, especially with Taylor Swift coming on. I mean, that was just, cash cow times 1,000.
Well, this whole thing is just nuts. I mean, I'm trying to read further into it to see what the heck is really going on. And, it's saying that the lawsuit claimed the league broke antitrust laws by selling its packages of Sunday games at an inflated price. The subscribers also say the league restricted competition by offering Sunday ticket only on the satellite provider. The NFL said it would appeal the verdict. I don't get that, because I thought local channels still carry some of the games. Like, I'm pretty sure the Packers are still on local stations around. It's like my mother. I'm going to compare this back to my mom. It's getting a little personal for me here, but I'm going to compare it back to my mother. She has Dish. She had Dish. She got rid of Dish now, Dish Network. But it used to be the Brewers were always on Fox Sports Wisconsin. Well, Fox Sports Wisconsin was gone. So, because Dish and Fox Sports Wisconsin were fighting, didn't want to pay X amount of dollars to have them. So we didn't watch the Brewers for years. We couldn't watch them on the TV. Well, then it switched to Bally. Well, Dish still didn't carry Bally. So she never watched the Brewers on Bally. She still doesn't watch the Brewers because she doesn't want to pay for the Bally Sports app, which is $20 a month, to watch the Brewers.
That's actually not that bad. That's on her discretion. I'm not telling her that she should pay it, but compared to some, there's the MLB.
No, it's not bad at all. I pay
MLB
for it.
App and stuff. Oh my god.
Yep. No, I pay for it. I pay for it to watch the Brewers, but she doesn't pay for it. That's her choice. So I guess in my understanding of this, if the league is selling it for an inflated price, how do you sue the league for selling it for their price? Are we going to go sue the grocery store for selling milk at $7 a gallon? Is that what we're going to start doing now? Can we do that? Can I go to court for that now? Because I want to do that. If we're going to start suing inflated prices, I'd love to go talk to the grocery store people. But it just has to do with the market. It has to do with the market. And I get it. If I get MLB TV, I should sue MLB. Because if I get MLB TV, the Brewers will be blacked out if they're playing in Milwaukee. They will be blacked out. But I can watch the San Francisco Giants play the Los Angeles Dodgers in LA, but I can't watch the Brewers in Milwaukee because it's blacked out in my area. Explain that one to me. But nobody does anything about it because there's other ways to watch that game. And if you can't watch it, you watch it on MLB at Bat. You get the free app and you can watch the 3D version now. I mean, that's wild. Seeing if nobody's watched that Jose Ramirez Tim Anderson fight in the 3D model, it's crazy. I mean, there's stick arms flying all over the place. But I mean, I guess unless if I'm reading this, and I'm reading it off of NBC News, but you can never trust the news sites anymore sometimes with this crap. But it confuses me. It confuses me because we're just suing off of inflated prices there. To watch your own team, it's an inflated price. Well, that's the price they set. I mean, that's not something that, you can negotiate. It's a price for everybody. If you want to watch MLB TV, you have to pay like $74 a month. That's just how it is, or whatever it adds up to. Maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's less than that. Whatever it is per month that you have to pay to get MLB TV. I mean, it's the same for all subscription based platforms. I don't want to have to pay, whatever it is for Netflix now. I'm pretty sure they raised the prices on Netflix. I don't want to pay the X amount of dollars for Netflix. But if I want to watch Netflix, I have to pay X amount of dollars to watch it. That's just how it is. I have to go with the market. Whatever the market's telling me, I have to go with it. So, I guess they won the case. I don't know how they won the case. I feel like this is stupid. I feel like this is a stupid case. I agree. I 100% agree. I think it should be easier to watch sport games sometimes. I really do think it should be. The Cubs have always had the Marquee Network. I think before that it was something else. They used to play on WGN, I believe. It was like 305 on DirecTV. But now they play on the Marquee Network. They have their own network on regular TV. I get that. Sometimes I do feel like it should be easier to watch games. Sometimes the Badgers will be on Big Ten Plus, and I have to get a Big Ten Plus subscription to watch the Badgers. I get sometimes it's stupid. Sometimes it is stupid having to try and watch your favorite team. So, in a way, I agree. Having inflated prices, it sucks. But if you want to watch the game, you got to pay the price sometimes. I mean, these are still multi-million, billion-dollar organizations, and they got to make money somehow, and this is how they make money. This is how they do it. They get people to show up to the games. They get people to buy their subscriptions and watch. This is how, they make money. And, I mean, if they only want to allow it in certain, like they say they're only offering it on satellite providers, I mean, that's just what it is. I know you can get YouTube TV with Sunday Ticket or something like that, or with Sunday Pass. You can watch all NFL games or something like that. I know they have a deal for baseball too on YouTube TV. There's millions of ways around it there, and I know you can find free ways to watch games where somebody's pirating in the video on some random website. If you really want to dig deep, I just I get it. I get it. People are getting irritated by prices, but at the same time, it's like a market value. What are you supposed to do? You need milk. You're going to go buy milk. It doesn't matter if it's $3 for the gallon of milk or it's $7 for the gallon of milk. You just got to pay the extra $4. It's just how it is. If you want to watch, a local team, maybe the Sunday Ticket could be separated. If I just want to watch the Packers, just give me the Packers. If I just want to watch this team, just give me all their games. Maybe you could do something. Maybe that's something that the NFL should have experimented with instead of, trying to do Sunday Ticket gives you every game. But I feel like if you're going to buy every game, you're just going to buy every game. You get Fox. Usually Fox is the Packers. Every time the Packers are on, if I turn on Fox, they're on there. Unless they're playing an AFC team, then they're always on CBS. So I guess I just don't see where everybody's having a problem. I really don't. I don't know if it's different in Philadelphia for you, but I just know every time I turn on Fox on a Sunday, if the Packers are on, they're on Fox. If it's, they're playing an AFC team, it's on ABC, So I guess I've never had an issue with it. I've never had an issue with having to go and get NFL Ticket or anything like that, or having to watch all the games. Otherwise, I'd get, Red Zone. NFL Red Zone's free. It's on the TV for free. Like, you watch every game on there. They flip back and forth game to game. I mean, that's a way you can make it work too. I don't know. I guess I just don't really understand what it is. Like Big Ten Plus, I know you can buy the rights to just one team. Like, when I got Big Ten Plus, I can only watch the Badger games. Otherwise, you have to pay X amount of dollars more if you want to watch every team play. So, I don't know. Is it different in Philadelphia? Like, when you want to watch the Eagles, is it on Fox, or do you have to, like, search around?
No, I mean, I am probably, I don't know if I should, I mean, whatever, millions of people. I am one of those illegal streamer type of guys because, I mean, I'm a cheap bastard. I mean, family friendly show. I get that.
Family friendly here. Come on.
Cheapskate. How about that? Cheapskate. We'll substitute that in there. But I mean, I've kind of, a friend of mine showed me that years ago, and I just kind of stuck with the old illegal streaming sites, and it definitely has its downfalls. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. There's times I gotta open that thing 50,000 times for it to actually play it, or it'll crash, and then I gotta go back out and get it again, and But to answer your question, I mean, the Eagles, I feel like, are on Fox all the time too. So I mean, the Packers, that's a staple franchise. Like, they're not gonna. I don't even know. It just feels like all the games are on all the net. Like the NFL, to me, outside of this whole trying the Peacock thing. I mean, what else did they do? Did they do Hulu or something? I feel like there was a Apple. I don't know. I don't even know what other networks have tried to come into this space. I know obviously Peacock, because that'll be the Packers and Eagles this year. But I remember, Amazon. That's what it is. Amazon Thursday Night Football. I think Amazon was doing all those. But no, I mean, like I said, I mean, I participate in those illegal streams, so I'm not going to be the type of person that's going to complain about money about it because I don't spend it on it. And I just kind of deal with, and if it's too bad, like if I'm like, hey, I don't even want to chance it, I'll go down to the, local restaurant. They always got the Eagles on. They always got the Steelers on. They got all the games on. You know what I mean? Like if a Sunday across America, like the NFL is just being
go to B-dubs, Buffalo Wild Wings. It's on all the time.
The NFL of all sports will be pile driven down your throat, whether you love it or hate it. It's such a monster within itself that like every Sunday it's on everywhere. You go down, I can watch the Packers and I live in Pennsylvania. I can watch the 49ers. I live in Pennsylvania. It doesn't matter who it is. And I think that's part of the reason they do so well. I mean, obviously it's only one game a week where baseball is, dang near every day, but, or every day in some cases. But yeah, I mean, the NFL, like you bring up the Big Ten Plus thing, that's interesting because, I mean, once again, I'm usually doing the bootleg streams for Penn State if I'm at the house or I'm somewhere watching it. But yeah, I mean, at least it sounds like they're trying to do things at least from a fan perspective. Like, not everybody wants the whole like NFL Sunday. Like, I don't care if the Carolina the Panthers are playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, unless I have like money on the line. Or, a buddy of mine's a Jaguars. Like, if I have no rooting interest for any reason whatsoever, I'm not the type of guy that's going to watch that type of game. You know what I mean? Like, when the Eagles aren't playing, I'm just I'll catch the Steelers. I grew up, dad's a Steelers fan. I'll root for them, if the Eagles aren't on or the Steelers are in the playoffs. Hey, I mean, why not? I'll pull for them. But I don't know. Like, these NFL fanatic people, which is fine. Like, that's perfectly fine. I've been there and I've done that, but it's, either you pay for the Sunday ticket or you there's, like you said, there's other options. You can go out, Buffalo Wild Wings, like you said. I mean, you can just kind of camp out at a table for hours if you wanted to. And then boom, you got most of the games you've watched. And then you only paid for your drinks and your food. Like, if you don't, I get it. I think, and you brought up the MLB network the MLB app, terrible app. Hard. I mean, in every form of the word terrible. I've through T-Mobile, they're like, oh my god, like you get the MLB app for free. I was like, dude, this is the best thing ever. Like, I'm not gonna do the bootleg stream. I'm gonna get the real thing. I click on there. Oh, Phillies are blacked out. Oh, let's check. See, maybe I'll watch the Orioles. Oh, that's blacked out. It's like, what's the point of this? Like, this is like, it's like flipping through the channels on the TV when you have like 500 channels and you really have 50 channels. Like, you can't even watch 3/4 of the games anyway. And then the games you want to watch or the ones that are in your market are blacked out. So it's like, like you said, you end up watching the Dodgers and the Giants, or the Diamondbacks and the Mariners. Or say it's just like why this is part of the reason baseball has so many problems, in my opinion. But yeah, I it's interesting, but I'm starting to get a little bit not irritated, but it will become a little bit annoying if it's like, okay, now it's Apple this week, and then it's Peacock, and then it's Hulu. Like, I feel bad for the older generations that are like, I can't figure that. Like, there's just too much. Like, now you're going to turn those people away when they. Back in my day, we watched the NFL was on 2 channels, and that's it. And now it's like Hulu, Apple, Amazon. Like, what's next? You know what I mean? Netflix, NFL. It's like, when's it stop? But like baseball's doing it too. I'm sure basketball will. I can't say I know, but
I think
sure
there's a league pass. I think you can get a league pass for basketball too. I'm pretty sure.
Are these networks though compete? Like, do they have like? Because I know the basketball is always on ESPN or TNT. Like, I don't think the NHL does. Amazon hockey night. Like, I maybe it'll start trickling down into other.
It's probably not as big of a market yet. Right. College football is now on Peacock. They got college basketball on Peacock all the time. Like, right. Maybe if it gets bigger, maybe some of these other organizations will reach out. Maybe it's for viewership reasons. Like, the NFL brings in big viewers. Basketball brings in decent viewers. So Peacock wanted football there. Maybe that's a little bit to it. I'm not sure. But like you said, I mean, definitely an interesting case. And we're going to see how it all works out. I know they're going to appeal it. We'll see how it all works out there. In other football news, we did see the USA football team get routed. This is the under-20 league. And they're in a tournament, I guess. There's a world tournament. American football. We're playing American football. This isn't overseas football. And they lost 41-20 to Japan in American football. This is something we invented. We made this. We it is called American football, and we just got routed in the semifinals. This would be like you're talking about Michael Jordan and Steph Curry and LeBron James and Shaq, and I could just keep naming off all NBA All-Stars just walking into a gym and losing to, I don't know, Bulgaria in some kind of like World Cup. Like, that would be like that, all in their primes. Like, that would be like that team losing. Why does this team suck? Why? There was a guy, I believe one of their offensive linemen is like a D3 college football player. Why is this guy on the field? Why are we not going into like the college freshmen and we're just saying, hey, guy from Alabama, you guys, you're a bunch of 5-stars. Go play on our world team and go win us the cup. Like, go win us this trophy. It's like your Olympics. It's like your version of the Olympics there. Why don't you send these guys? We got some D3 dude who is like 300-some pounds, and I watched a video of him trying to block, and he wasn't even blocking nobody. He's just running around aimlessly. Like, what is this team? We lost 41-20 to Japan. Japan, of all teams. They don't play football. Apparently they do. They routed us. You hear of many Japanese dudes in the NFL? I don't think so. What are we doing out there? This was just... Aaron... I feel like the TikTok generation and the new generation of athlete has let us down. I feel like they failed us now. This is it. We lost to Japan in American football. We are now one of the worst football teams in America, like in the world. We're the worst football team in the world. We lost to Japan, like in American football. We couldn't even make it to the finals in American football. If it was soccer, whatever. Move on with life. It was hockey. I get it. Russia, Canada. But this is American football. We invented it. We made it. We were like, let's throw this pigskin around. Let's tackle each other with leather helmets on. Let's do some stupid... it was our thing. And we lost. We formed Japan. We let them know, like, hey, see this ball? Throw it around. You got to tackle guys. Like, these are the rules. We made the rules. American dude made the rules and made the game, and we just got our ass kicked playing our game. It's like losing to third graders. We just were a bunch of high school seniors who just lost to third graders by 21 points. 3 touchdowns. It wasn't like it was some miraculous kick. It was 3 freaking touchdowns. This was a rout. in our own game.
I'll take maybe I'll play devil's advocate a little bit, but how seriously do they construct? Like, to me, I'm reading up on this and like the roster and stuff, and I see that here that like 3 guys are basically Division 3 level, which I like to see that. See, we talked about this before, where before it was FBS and FCS and all that. Give me Division 1, give me Division 2, give me Division 3. That's so easy to just keep a track of. I know what the difference in levels is, that type of thing. So, I mean, you throw 3. I mean, there's a university in my town. It's Millersville University. They're Division 3. I mean, there's high schools all over this nation. There's probably a high school, in your radius that has a bigger stadium than Millersville University. So, like, I've seen Division 3, and I'm not saying they're trash. Like, if you're playing college football, like, you're not garbage. You know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, there's still a lot going on, and you have to know the game and such things. But, I don't know as far as, like, if we line these rosters up, like, oh, well, Japan was a 78 overall, and the U.S. was like you said, why aren't these kids like Alabama, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan? You sprinkle in kids from all the best programs. I think this will be a route on the other side. Like, we'd see it 58 to 14. You know what I mean? So I'll play devil's advocate. I feel like the team wasn't well constructed. I'll be honest, completely transparent here. I didn't know there was a whole U.S. like football. Like, every time I even want to say that, it like the light bulb comes on, and I just think soccer because it's like U.S. football. Like, I don't know why, it just doesn't sound right to me. But I get where you're coming from. At the end of the day, you don't want to take a loss to like another nation like that. I mean, that's no matter who's out there, you want to win. Like that. That's why you're out there. A couple fans tweeted about this, and I thought it was kind of funny. Like, I mean, one completely went even more overboard than Trajan for sure. He said every player that was on this team should lose their citizenship for the United States. We don't want them back here anymore. And then another fan came in and tweeted, now send over the 22 best NFL players and see what happens. Well, yeah, no kidding. But I mean, if it's under 20 years old, yeah, that's just kind of a stupid idea in my opinion. But I mean, yeah, it's unfortunate. Now, is it like, I'll be honest, if you didn't tell me about this, I might have not even known about it. Like, I maybe I'm just out of the loop on football, but as far as like college football and the NFL, that's like a mainstay in this country. We'll see. I mean, maybe this motivates them to kind of put a better team together, or maybe it's just like, we don't really care about that this much. And like you said, the TikTok generate, like, these kids aren't lining up every Saturday to go play like right now, like this is just kind of a different level or a different league in its own right.
It's just, it feels like just a letdown. Like, this is something, like, don't even enter. If this is the team we're taking, don't even enter. Like, we have the best players in the world in America. And we take this team. This was the crap show that we took over there. We got some D3 dudes running around that are just tipping over like trees in the forest. Like, can't even hear them fall. Like, it's just, it was just, I just saw it and I was like, I listened to Jordan Poyer. Jordan Poyer played on that team back in the day. He played on the USA team. Jonathan Taylor was also a member of that team. Like, can you imagine them looking back and they're like, what in the actual F just happened? Like, we just lost to Japan. Like, you guys are terrible there. But we got to move on. We got to get away from football. We just wanted to mention the NHL Finals is done, over with, wrapped up for the year. The Edmonton Oilers did fall short of that 3-0 comeback. Got it back, series tied 3-3, took it to Game 7. And, I mean, it was a good one in Game 7. I mean, but Florida Panthers able to pull it off there. Connor McDavid had a lot of shots on goal there that it just seemed like there was no opening. Florida did a fantastic job on the defensive end. Look at me. I'm talking hockey right now. You guys aren't even used to this on the show here. A lot of shots on goal for the Edmonton Oilers in that last match, or in that Game 7, and it was like a brick wall. It was like a brick wall in there the Florida Panthers put up. We're not allowing none of that business there. So, Aaron, I mean, Any reaction off of that game 7? I mean, a heck of a series. It was impressive in its own right that the Edmonton Oilers were able to get it back to 3-3. And I believe we did see Connor McDavid. He did win the award there at the end, one of the awards there.
Yeah, I was. I mean, as much as this sounds corny, but I use the Oilers in the NHL video game, so I always got a soft spot for them. I mean, I know that team really well just from playing NHL. I mean, just from playing the Xbox there, just from playing, the virtual hockey. But I mean, just to come, make that a series after being absolutely kind of just dominated in every facet in the first 3 games. I mean, you go back, look at game 1, 3-0, and then 4-1, and then 4-3. And then that game 4, I mean, the Oilers piled it on 8-1 in that game 4. And I thought, hey, maybe this will be enough. I mean, maybe it was Florida just saying, here's a gimme type of deal. But I mean, to make this a 7-game series after being down 3-0, you got to tip your cap. I mean, I wish they pulled I'm not a Panthers guy. I mean, I've gotten more into more hockey. Every year I kind of take a little bit of a step as far. But I love the NHL postseason. I think it's some of the best postseason you'll see in any sport. It just the intensity, the speed, the just tenacity. These guys. I mean, people are just getting clocked all over the place. Like it's madness. But it's unfortunate. It's not the team that I wanted to win didn't win. That usually happens to me anyway. I mean, I'm so used to it. I wanted the Mavs to win. The Celtics win. Texas Rangers, I was fine. But outside of that, I didn't really have any care who won that. So it always had, I want this team. Boom, the other team wins. But I mean, it was fun. Definitely fun while it lasted. That game 7 was just, I mean, like you said, I mean, the Oilers in that third period, I think it was I want to say 10-2 or 12-3 or 4 as far as shots on goal compared to the. I mean, they were obviously playing for their lives at that point, just to tie it and force an overtime, which I really felt like just in my gut was going to happen. It was going to go to an overtime or shootout. Actually, I don't even think they go shootout in that scenario. But yeah, I mean, it was everything. I mean, I'm glad it wasn't a blowout. If it would have been, that would have taken the wind out of the sails for a lot of people, I think. And I mean, for the Oilers, maybe they get back there. It's a matter. I mean, their goalie stepped up, played pretty well. I mean, honestly, they've had goalie problems in the past, but Skinner did his thing and kept them. I mean, 2-1. You can't really ask for much more there. And unfortunately, Florida, Matthew Tkachuk, I don't like anything about him, but they're a good team. They're a good team, and they've been on a roll and they've been on a heater for a couple of years. So I mean, credit to them, but. Oilers so close. I mean, I'd be pretty devastated sitting here if I was a diehard, Oilers fan. Like that is, I don't know. Would you rather the team not force a game 7 to lose it, or are you just kind of well, we're along for the ride? They battled their tails off, literally.
You feel better, but you also feel like crap because you played all the way back into it. It's like, I mean, imagine being a Cavaliers fan up against the Warriors in that magical 73-win season that they had or whatever it ended up as, and you battled back from down 3-1, made it 3-3, and then Steph just goes on a burner in game 7 and you lose by 50. It feels good that you came back, you made it a series, you felt good along the ride, but then you get to the end, you're like, oh man, we're on a burner. We've been feeling it. There ain't no way that we lose this series now. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, we lost. There was, I want to say that it's great. I'm trying to put it, if the Brewers did it, would I feel good or not? I guess it depends on who you're playing too. I mean, if it would have been some dynamite team, like the Phillies from this year, where they're rolling this season, basically rolling this season. They've had their hiccups, right? But I mean, they go into the playoffs. They've had, you're playing a team who has the most wins in MLB history. You're playing them in the World Series and you're down 3-1. You battle your way back. You almost feel better. You didn't even expect to win this series and you almost feel better about it. So I think in the finals it changes, though. I think in the finals it changes because the Oilers, it's almost like you go down 3-0. You're kind of accepting your fate, like we're screwed. We might win a game, right? Maybe even in game 2, or not game 2, but it ended up, game 5, when they won that one. I mean, even after that, you're down 3-2 yet, right? I mean, you're still in that boat where it's like, well, we're still going to lose this series. I mean, we're still going to lose. And then you make it 3-3, and it's like, oh, okay, like now we have a shot. And it didn't help because you're going back to Florida, weren't you? That game 7 was in Florida. Like, that doesn't help. That doesn't help at all. Heading back to Florida for game 7.
Well, I will. Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head with that. Like that. As much as I'm not a Boston sports fan or anything, but obviously that 2004 ALCS is like, that's legendary stuff. Like, and it's Red Sox Yankees. Like, that would be like, here's a division, rivalry from your, like, Cardinals Cubs, right? It's Cardinals Cubs, and I know you don't like the Cubs, but the Cubs are the Cardinals' little brother. As far as championships, pedigree, like just overall success, the Cardinals have had far more success, right? So, like, if you put it in context like that, where it's like the Red Sox and Yankees hate each other. The Red Sox have waited 100 years to win a World Series, and then they come back 3-0, and then it's 3-1, like you said, 3-1, then 3-2, then 3-3. It's like that game 7 for the Oilers was literally all the chips are in the middle of the table. It's like, who's gonna do it for that game 7? Who's going to play, just capitalize on that one game? Because it doesn't matter you started out 3-0, it doesn't matter you came back 3-3. The game 7 was the series. That there is no tomorrow after this. And I don't know. I totally see your point of view. I think that is like, it's almost like you ask the girl to prom, she says no, you end up with a different girl that you don't want to be at prom. Then, like, 10 minutes before prom, you get in with the girl that you wanted to go with, and then she breaks your heart. It's like the roller coaster of emotions is so much heavier to go through that, where it's like, if the Oilers even would have made it, like, they win the 2 games and then they lose game 6, it's like, okay, well, they made it a series, but like, to be that close that's got to be the most gut wrenching. Like, I'd probably break some. I'd probably be like, dude, this is just too much. Like, you guys really had to do this to me. Like, you got all the fans excited, and like, I know there's so many ways to look at that, but you never know when you're gonna get back either. Like, in any sport, you never know. The Oilers might not get back for another 14 years, and even that is not that long. Like, there's I mean, look at the Cleveland Guardians before they went to the World Series against the Cubs. I mean, how long was that? There's a million examples of that, and it's like the Oilers, that could have been the shot. Like, that could have been we could have done it that year. I get the cards were stacked against you, but you and Florida went into game 7 like, okay, this is a 50-50 shot. Like, in all, you break it down to the most simplest form, and like, to come back and then lose. It's almost like, if you're a Panther, like, if you're on the Panthers, you're like, I'm glad you guys came back just to get, like, just to lose. Like, that is, oh man, that's tough. It's like the Bills in the 90s. Like, you go to 4 Super Bowls and you don't win one. It's like, man, that's almost worse. I'd rather not go. If you're going to do that to me, don't do that to me. Like, come on.
Yep. No, I agree. I mean, it's tough. You should have just gone to prom with the girl that you asked the second one you asked, not the first one. Not the one you wanted to go with, the one that was going to be a good time. That's what you go. You go with the one that's going to be a good time, right? The easier route, the less heartbreak at the end. That's the way you got to shake it there.
Sometimes, man. Like,
sometimes you just got to go the easy route, not the difficult one. So with that, get out of the NHL. We know we don't talk a lot of NHL. Come on now. We got to get to a little bit of Brewer talk. We got to get to a little Philly talk, a little bit of baseball talk here. So Brewers, they got a big weekend series coming up here. Chicago Cubs coming to town. Chicago, they're coming to town to American Family Field. A big series against the Cubs there. Cubs have been sucking, and it is fantastic. It is fantastic. I can't ask for anything more than the Chicago Cubs to suck. Bottom of the division, 38-44. They suck. The bullpen for the Cubs sucks. They're bottom of the league in like every category on the bullpen. They couldn't shut down a game if they tried. As I'm saying this, I should knock on some wood just in case, because it could get ugly here for the Brewers. But I mean, leading up into the series, the Brewers coming off of a sweep of the defending, and everybody keeps calling the defending World Series champs, so I'm going to keep calling them that because it makes me feel better that they just swept them, even though the Rangers are sucking in their own right. But this Brewers team heading into the weekend here, you're going to have some big pitching matchups going on. Friday night, we got Jameson Talon taking on Colin Ray for the Brewers there. Saturday is going to be Justin Steele and Tobias Myers, who Tobias Myers has been on a burner as of late there with that .79 ERA in his last 25 innings. This guy has been unreal. And then on Sunday, we have Kyle Hendricks taking on fastball Freddie there to wrap up the series. So, I mean, pitching-wise, the Brewers are right where they want to be in their rotation going into a big series against the Cubs, because you have Ray, you have Tobias Myers, who's been hot, and you have your ace of your staff, Freddie Peralta, coming out there on Sunday. This Brewers team, I mean, we're hoping that Joey Ortiz is okay. He has the neck issue right now. It stemmed from in that Angels series. It took him out of a game here as of late. He sat out in their series finale there against the Texas Rangers. He was lifted. So, I mean, hopefully we see a little bit of Joey Ortiz over the weekend. Gary Sanchez on the IL right now, so injuries once again starting to plague this Brewers team. But in good news, Garrett Mitchell is back in the lineup with the Nashville Sound. So a little bit of a scare there with the hamstring, but he's good to go. That's great news. I mean, looking from an outside perspective, Aaron, this Brewers team, they've been finding ways. That's the only way that I can describe this Brewers team. The pitching staff isn't pretty. Like, you're looking at them. If you walked into the jewelry shop right now and you looked at the really, fine diamonds, right? You're looking at the fine diamonds and you're looking at them down there. You would go down about 5 cases. About 5 cases. You would get to the end. And there's the rough. There's the rough looking ones. There's the, we're not talking about 12 carats right now. We're talking about 1.5 carats right now. Like, we're getting down to the nitty gritty, but it works. Maybe like you were talking about that prom date before there. The second one, not the first one, not the one you wanted to go with. You're talking about the second one there. Well, maybe, just maybe, she likes that diamond that is not very expensive, just your average Joe. You could have probably got it on Amazon kind of deal there, but she still likes it. It still gets the job done, right? That's what this Brewers pitching staff is to me. Like, they're not pretty. There ain't a single bit of that thing that looks pretty. There is going to be some outings where you're going to go, how is this guy even a big league pitcher? How have we not signed Trevor Bauer yet? What is going on? But, I mean, you're talking about a Brewers team who's 48-33. This, if you look at them, they're at the halfway point right now, or just about the halfway point, if they're not over it. And you look at their records over the year. 2018 was the big year for the Brewers, right? Made it to the NLCS, made it to Game 7 against the Dodgers. They were 48-33 at the midway point in 2018 when they went to the NLCS. They were 48-33 in 2021 when they ended up locking up a 2 seed. Ended up bombing it in the playoffs like we do, but ended up getting in the playoffs as a high-end seed. I mean, looking from the outside perspective there, Aaron, at this Brewers team right now, it ain't pretty, but they get the job done.
No, I mean, and you mentioned, like, I'm looking back at the schedule because, we chit-chat so much. I try and keep, at least some tabs on these Brewers. I mean, obviously a rough series there in San Diego. I mean, they scored runs, but they lost 3 out of 4 games in San Diego, bounce right back and sweep. You know what I mean? Like, that's a team that can do that, kind of flip the switch. Like, we just saw the Orioles. I mean, they lost 5 in a row, and I was like, here we go. Like, we'll see how they tread water because, I mean, there's been a lot of years the Orioles are a 50-60 win ball club and no one's going to the game. It's ugly. Like, it's like a Pirates type of situation where it's like, good God, are they going to – when's the next time they're going to win a series? Like, you start asking that question. So, I mean, you're going to drop series. Even in a 4-game set, you lose 3 out of 4 to the Padres. And the Padres have kind of beat up on some better teams, which it's just weird, but that's baseball, Like, they'll go out and lose to, give me like a Miami Marlins. They'll lose 2 out of 3 to them, but then they'll go beat 3 of the Brewers 3 out of 4. So, you can't chalk up that type of thing to like, oh, how good is this team? They turn around, obviously they come home for that Because they're out in LA playing the Angels, get 2 out of 3 out there. Go to San Diego, so you're on a West Coast road trip, and then come back and beat the Rangers. Sweep them out. So yeah, I mean, like you said, they're finding ways to win. I this lineup to me is better than, like, on paper. Like, if you just go down the lineup, you would not think that it's okay. It's not bad, but it's like it's doing the job. Like you said, it's winning you games. You're first in the division. And yeah, I mean, now this is one of those series. It's like, the Cubs want this series because they're not even treading water. Like, they're trying to be competitive in this division, and like they know that. You know what I mean? Like, if they want to be, we're at the midpoint almost already. So it's hard to believe. It really, really is hard to believe. But looking down the standings, I mean, they're 6.5 up on the Cardinals. The Reds, to me, have really surprised me as far as just not being competitive. I mean, it's got to be the pitching. I'm not really paying attention, but to me, I just feel like they don't have pitching. I might be wrong on that assertion, but yeah, I mean, the Pirates are somehow, some way treading. I mean, they're 2 games under 500, which not great, but I mean, I would think they'd be 13 games under 500. It's just the way they play usually, but we'll probably see that at some point. But it's maybe Paul Skeens just takes them to the World Series. But I mean, no, but the 6.5 game lead right now, you take that. Like I said, coming into this year, I say the same freaking thing every week, but losing what's his name, Corbin Burns, and then Woodruff, like right off the bat, you're like, man, where do the Brewers stand now? And they really haven't skipped a beat, which is a testament to their lineup, their organization as a whole. To, like, we're plugging guys in, it's working. I think they've won 4 in a row, or I'm sorry, just I guess the 3 in a row there. Or no, I'm sorry, 4 in a row, because they picked that last game against San Diego. So yeah, I mean, I expect them to win the series against the Cubs. They're the better team as of right now. That's without a doubt. I mean, this Cubs team is 10.5 games back. They need they need to, like, if you're on the Cubs, you got to find a way to win that series. But would I think that they would? No. The Brewers are a good team. That's obvious. Now, does everybody stay healthy? That's what you want to see as far as the lineup is concerned. And you bring up Joey Ortiz. I didn't even know the little tweak, but if it's just a hamstring, hopefully that's just a little ordeal, and then he comes right back.
Yeah. It's a neck issue with Ortiz. I don't know what's going on in his neck, but something with his neck is just causing discomfort, I guess. And Garrett Mitchell, I mentioned, I was talking fast there. Garrett Mitchell had the hamstring. It looked like a hamstring. He's good to go. So maybe we see Garrett Mitchell back up at some point. I mean, you mentioned the Pirates there. The pitching staff has been great for him. I mean, you talk about Jared Jones for him there, Paul Skeens, Mitch Keller. They have a pretty good pitching staff, the Pirates do. The Reds, I think they bank too much on Ellie De La Cruz, and he hasn't turned out to be Jack Dilley's squad. I think he's actually they hyped him up to be the next thing in the MLB, and I really think for what they hyped him up to be, he's a bust. I really do. I mean, the talent, he's got all the intangibles of a talented player. He just strikes out all the time. The bat's not consistent. If he gets on, he's going to steal every base. I mean, I'll give him that. But end of the day, he's inconsistent in the field. He's inconsistent at the plate. He's not an all-star. He's far from it there. The Brewers I didn't know if you knew this, but the Brewers actually had a feat that has only been done 4 times in the last 70 MLB seasons. They did it just the other day against the Rangers. An inside the park home run, a grand slam, and a walk-off win. It's only happened 4 times in the last 70 seasons in the MLB. The Brewers did it. Before that, it was the Nationals in 2007. Before that, it was the Expos in 1987. And before that, it was the Pirates in 1956. So the Brewers accomplished that feat on Wednesday there when they beat the Rangers there. Churro hit an inside the park home run, Jake Bauers with the grand slam, and then Andrew Monasterio delivered the walk-off win. He wasn't even supposed to play that day. He was only in there because Joey Ortiz was lifted because of the neck issue. So, I mean, Andrew Monasterio wasn't even supposed to play, and he delivers with the walk-off win. So that was awesome for the Brewers there. And, I mean, like you said, the division is tightening up at the top there, the Cardinals, we talk about it every week, fearing the Cardinals would eventually find their way back into this division race. They found their way back. The Cubs are scuffling mainly because of that bullpen, but they do have struggles in the lineup. I believe Dansby Swanson's only batting like 220. If he is batting 220, like not something you usually see from Dansby, especially with the money he's making there. So, going to be a good series over the weekend there. Brewers and Cubs coming up from American Family Field. But we got to jump. We got to look at the Phillies weekend there. Who do they got coming up here? Miami Marlins coming up?
Miami, yeah, and they lose. They lose the first game in the series today. It's always the Marlins where it's going to be something bad happens, right? Like it's the Marlins could have 2 wins on the series in the season. Like they could be 2 and 110, and they'll find a way to just kind of play the Phillies hard throughout the regular season. The Phillies blew them out of the water that in that wild card series last postseason, but it's just one of those troublesome teams. Like I'm sure the Brewers have a team like that you're just like you don't want to see that team for whatever reason.
Pirates.
Like
it's always the Pirates.
Yeah, there you go. So. Tomorrow tomorrow they have Kyle Tucker going for the Marlins. Don't know much about him. I'm literally pulling stats up as we speak. Pitched in the Dodgers organization, the Angels organization, Padres, and now the Miami Marlins. He's been tossed around the minor leagues. It looks like a good bit because he didn't even pitch in 2023 in the majors, but just not a whole lot of experience. So, you've talked about the Brewers like that. It's like, well, here comes some random lefty. Boom, they can't hit him. It could be the same thing tomorrow. The guy's a righty, but you just don't know. That's just a wild card. So, Christopher Sanchez, the Phillies just did sign him up. I think it was a 4-year extension he got. So, if he's your number 4 starter, like you're in good hands. The Phillies have a great rotation. Like that's not and news to anybody. But Christopher Sanchez going tomorrow. Now, it wouldn't be Philadelphia without just negativity and just something bad always has to somehow happen. So Harper ground. We hope it's not something real serious, but Schwarber comes out of the game in the early part of this game, and then Harper on the very last out tonight. He's running, pretty hard down the first as he does. Like he's a guy that plays 100 miles an hour, but comes up grabbing his hamstring, limps. It's not like he needed like a freaking cart off the field or something, but he had really, really big. Strain on his leg. Like he's obviously limping in pain and not being able to get around too well. So doubt he plays tomorrow. We'll see. It might be a 15-day IL thing. Hopefully it's nothing, more than that. But then the Phillies just did put Spencer Turnbull on the IL with a lat strain, so a key guy to go to in the bullpen. He was starting when Taijuan Walker was out, and now they put Taijuan Walker on the IL too. So it's like, good God. What's in the water all of a sudden? They're dropping like flies left and right here. But, it'll be interesting. They have so many pieces that I don't worry about them so much in the rotate, like in the pitching side of things. More so like if Schwarber and Harper would be out for, let's just say 15 days. That's substantial. You can navigate that lineup without those guys. Like I really do think an opposing pitching staff can kind of pitch at Stott, at Castellanos, JT's been out for a while now too. So I didn't even think about him because he's been out. It's like the injuries are piling up right now, but they've built themselves a very good lead in that NL East. The Braves have struggled. The Mets are going to do what the Mets do, struggle. Really hardcore struggle this year. But then, like Braves 8 games back, Mets 12 and a half. Then it goes Nationals 14 and a half. And then Marlins are 24 games out of first place already. Like that's just, you have solidified your spot as a non-factor this year, unless you go on an absolute burner, like an Oakland A's, 23 game winning streak or whatever it was. But yeah, they're in good hands, but they're hitting that, like, they're definitely hitting adversity right now. It's like I said, injuries left and right. The Marlins are the team that would find a way to steal a series out of them somehow, but I still probably don't see it. But it's interesting. Lots and lots of injuries right now.
Injuries plague teams, and especially good teams. It seems like that could be the downfall of a lot of rosters. So it is definitely going to be interesting to see what the Phillies do. I mean, with Bryce Harper, if that injury does become a nagging injury, what that leads to. Kyle Schwarber, as much as we don't want, we don't like him where he bats in the lineup and everything like that, he's still an instrumental part to that team. So it would suck in any way to see either one of those guys go down. But speaking of Bryce Harper, that's going to lead us up into our topic to wrap up the show here, and that is the All-Star voting. Phase 1 is over. Now we get into Phase 2 of the voting there, and Bryce Harper is leading the National League in votes. But I wanted to get to a couple of the interesting ones, get your take on it there, and there was only two positions that really irritated me when I looked at them. First is the National League second base. We don't really care about the American League. That has nothing to do with us. We're in the National League with the Phillies and Brewers. So, second base, we have in the All-Star voting, Ketel Marte and Luis Arias. Those are the two guys. Now, Arias, 310 average, 105 hits on the year, 2 home runs, 22 RBIs. He's got 310 average. It's hard to keep him out of there. Like, everybody knows who Luis Arias is by now. If you had to guess, who is the second best average for second baseman in the league right now? Who would you have to guess? For second baseman. For second baseman there.
It's not Bryson Stott, that's for sure. It's definitely not Jeff McNeil. So I'm thinking just team wise. I mean, why not? This is a Wisconsin based podcast. Why don't we go Bryce Turang?
288 average there in that number 2 spot. 79 hits so far, 39 runs scored. He's got 14 doubles. He's got, looking for stolen bases there. He leads, all second basemen in stolen bases. I know that for a fact. I can't see. I got him right here. 27 stolen bases on the season so far. Ketel Marte's got 3. Luis Arias has got 3. This guy is all around your second base caliber kind of guy, right? I mean, he's your second baseman kind of dude. I'm not going to say that above Luis Arias, Bryce Turang should have been. You look at the average, Luis Arias has just been an all-around great hitter for years now. But Ketel Marte, the only stat that he has realistically that much better than Bryce Turang is home runs. He has 17 home runs compared to Bryce Turang's 5. Outside of that, you look at RBIs, Bryce Turang's got 32. You got to put into perspective where these guys are in the lineup, too. Bryce Turang's a speed threat. Like, that's his job. He's supposed to get on, steal bases for you. You can see that in the 27 stolen bases there. Like, that's his job. He's got a 763 OPS, 409 in his on-base percentage, a 3.4 WAR, and he's hands down, if I was going to go around the league right now and make my all-star infield of guys who are going to lock it down, Bryce Turang's my second baseman. That's just how I do it. I mean, he is hands down has saved so many runs for the Brewers. It's ridiculous. This dude is unreal. He was fifth. He was fifth in vote getters for second base. Fifth. How is that even? And I get, it's a fan vote, but at some point it just becomes stupid with these fan votes. I mean, we had a year where there was 8 Kansas City Royals and Mike Trout on an AL roster. Like, that's how stupid it is. This one, I get it's Bryce Turang. I get, it's only his second year and, he's young yet. Not a lot of people know his name, but this dude's unreal. This dude's playing on a different level this year. For him to be fifth in the vote get, I mean, would you have put Bryce Turang in above Ketel Marte, at least for that last vote there? I mean, they're in phase 2 of the voting right now, but would you have thrown in Bryce Turang above him there, looking at the stats and just seeing across the board? And, I mean, you've seen a little bit of Bryce Turang at second base defensively. He's hands down the best second baseman maybe in baseball right now. I can't think of one that's better than him. So, I mean, would you have put him in above Ketel Marte there?
I mean, you kind of have to, right? Like, I mean, taking all the bias away, like if Bryce Turang played, look at somehow I always bring up the Yankees. So you'd think I'm a freaking Yankees fan, but far from it. But like if this guy, I mean, you're looking at Gleyber Torres for the Yankees, who having a historically bad season for him, like just all around making errors, throwing the ball away, dropping pop fly. I mean, you name it. Like if Bryce Turang got inserted in the Yankees lineup tomorrow, like it would be like, oh my God, this is the best guy since Robinson Cano's played here. Like, this, that, and the third. Like you would just the basically the headlines would be Bryce Strang, Bryce Strang, Bryce Strang, because he plays in Milwaukee. Outside of like, we've seen Corbin Burns, we've seen Prince Fielder, Brian Braun. You talk about the cornerstone guys. I mean, how much love does Joey Ortiz get? You know what I mean? Like, how much love does Sal Frederick? Like, those type of guys, like where they could have amazing stats, but like you're hard pressed to even hear about them. You know what I mean? You're hard pressed to, like Ketel Marte. The Diamondbacks were in the World Series last year. He's come up with big hits and whatnot and everything else. Like, I'm looking at all these All-Star voting selections, right? And like Trey Turner is second in shortstop voting. Now, I'd have to go down the list of like NL short. Like, I know, freaking Mets shortstop Lindor. Like, he shouldn't be, like, there's guys that shouldn't be in the conversation, right? But like Trey Turner's only played 41 games. You know what I mean? It's like, I get Trey Turner is like one of the best shortstops in the game when he's right. But even last year, like Trey Turner didn't play too well. Honestly, he didn't play like the Trey Turner we know. So is this like, and then you flip to the AL just real quick, like you said, where we weren't going to talk, too much AL, but like I am amazed there's 3 Orioles that are in the league lead for like Gunnar doesn't surprise me whatsoever, but like Ryan Mountcastle at first is like over Vladdy Jr. who Vladdy Jr. to me is like you talk about Ellie De La Cruz, like he's the American League Ellie De La Cruz to me. Like he's not as good as people think he is. He's on a lineup where he should just rake because they have guys around up and down the lineup that can just kind of, get him some better pitches as far as, you can't really pitch around a lot of guys. But long story short, like there are some really, like I'm shocked the Orioles being a small market team having Ryan Mountcastle. I mean, Adley Rutschman and Gunnar, yeah, but Ryan Mountcastle leading the votes at first base is crazy. Now, like you said, it's phase 1, so we'll see how this shakes out. I mean, at some point you gotta kind of. I don't love that it's fan voting, but like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, at least, I mean, you see Yelich over there in the outfield over Brandon Marsh by 500,000 votes, which, I'd have to pull up the stats. I don't know, but Brandon Marsh has missed time too. Like they both missed time, but it's interesting. I'll say that. I mean, we'll see how it shakes out. Sometimes, like you said, that year that was like everybody from the Royals was on there, or like, I don't know. I think some guys get votes because of the name, like the name just carries weight. Like you'll see a guy hitting 260 get nominated for the All-Star team because it's like, oh, well, he's such and such. And it's like, well, if he's hitting 260 with 7 home runs, why is he in there? You know what I mean? Whoever's having the best individual season should be in there. It's point blank, period.
100%.
Not last year, not 5 years ago, not whatever.
Yep. Nope, I agree. And you just mentioned a guy in this same category, the third base vote for the National League. You mentioned Joey Ortiz earlier there, and he just mentioned a guy with a name that's getting in with a 260 average and 7 home runs. This is pretty darn close. Manny Machado is in the second spot for the NL third base spot right now. He's batting 264, 13 doubles on the year for him there. He has 8 home runs, 40 RBIs, right? Okay, that's fine. Manny Machado's having a decent year. Ryan McMahon is right now batting 277. So you want to look averages. He has the second best average right now for a qualified, third baseman there. You have some guys who have good averages, but they're not qualified because they only have like Mark Ventos from the New York Mets. He's only got 121 at bats. So not a big sample size. But Ryan McMahon, in those 296 at bats, he's got a 277 average, 17 doubles, 14 home runs, and 42 RBIs for Ryan McMahon there at third. How does Ryan McMahon not get to love? And then you look at Joey Ortiz there. Yes, he's got 211 at-bats, so a little bit less in the at-bat department there, but a 275 average, 13 doubles, 7 home runs, 28 RBIs there for him. And he's got 2 triples to go along with it there. And you look down the line there, 5 stolen bases out of Joey Ortiz. He's a third baseman, not really what we expect out of him. He's a shortstop by trade, but a third baseman now with the Brewers. I mean, Alec Boehm has been playing at a different level surprising, honestly. I never really forecasted Alec Boehm to ever turn into anything. I have a bunch of his rookie cards and everything like that. I was contemplating putting him in the back box and never looking at him again. I might have to pull him back out here pretty soon because he's playing very well this year, surprising very well. So I'm good with Alec Boehm. Like, Alec Boehm deserves to be the number one vote getter. Like, that's fine and dandy. Manny Machado does not deserve to be the second vote getter there. He doesn't. I think Joey Ortiz has been more valuable to the Brewers there, and I really do. He's a 2.2 WAR there. Manny Machado is a 0.4 WAR. I mean, put that into perspective. 0.4 compared to 2.2. That is how much more Joey Ortiz is valuable to the Brewers. And then you look up at Ryan McMahon there from the Colorado Rockies. He's 2.5. I mean, yeah, Alec Boehm's only at 2.1, so you can only put so much stock in the WAR. I mean, they just make up stats to make Mike Trout relevant. But, I mean, you can only put so much stock in that. But Alec Boehm, I believe undoubtedly, I mean, you look at doubles, 28 doubles, 9 home runs, 64 RBIs. Like, the dude has been doing it all for the Phillies. You can't deny him the first spot. I have a problem with the number 2. That is where my 2 problems rely. And, it's not just that it's a Brewer that's being affected. It's Ryan McMahon that's being affected from the Colorado Rockies. I mean, he's playing one of the better years of his career. 277, 17 doubles, 42 RBIs, 14 home runs. I mean, 141 total bases. He only trails in total bases to Alec Boehm, and that's only by 8. He trails in 8 total bases to Alec Boehm, and you see the season Alec Boehm's having, so it tells you how well Ryan McMahon is playing there. I mean, it just baffles me with those two. Like, we just talked about the Bryce Trang, problem there. It baffles me that Joey Ortiz and Ryan McMahon are not above Manny Machado in vote gets. Manny Machado is not playing a great year. I mean, we've seen better years out of Manny Machado. Now, is he still a big bat? Yeah. Is he still a threat in the lineup? Yeah. But he's not the same Manny Machado that we've seen in years past. And the average is showing that. I have a real problem with that one. I have a real problem with, yeah, he had a slow start. Yeah, he heated up in the month of July. Great. But, you're talking first half. That makes your all-star. I don't care if it's Bryce Terang. You look at Joey Ortiz. Joey Ortiz has been doing it the whole time. Ryan McMahon's been doing it the whole time. Like, Manny Machado just turned on the burners. Like, I don't know. Do you see the same kind of issue with that third base situation?
I do, and I'll raise you one even better. I just tapped into this list even more a little bit, but yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think, I've always been an Alec Boehm fan just because I just like the guy. Like, he was drafted by the Phillies. Like, that's a homer way of looking at it. But, he's definitely had his, I remember a game he made 3 errors in like 1 inning. Or 2 errors in 1 inning or whatever. Like, he made 3 errors in 1 game. I remember that. And he's like, I effing hate this place. Which I understand it. Like, the fans there will, like, push your buttons to the absolute limit. And there'd be times, I'm sure, if I played for them, I'd be like, man, why can't I just play and, not to take a shot, but, like, I doubt the Brewers fans would get on you nearly as much as Philadelphia. Philadelphia's like, we'll eat you alive if you don't perform. Like, we will make your life miserable. So, like, he's come a long way as far as that standpoint. Like, he, this is and I've always thought he could have a good bat. It's just like, is the glove ever going to follow? And like this year, he's made his errors. I don't know if the guy will win a Gold Glove. I don't know. I really don't know if that's in his makeup, but yeah, the whole man, like Ryan McMahon, Manny Machado, like that should be a no-brainer. Like, that should be like, if you like baseball, like, sure, I'm sure, a lot of fans such as myself, like, well, we'll just vote for all the guys on the Phillies, or we'll vote for all the guys on the Orioles, or vote for the guys on the Brewers, or whatever. But, like, if you're being honest with yourself and saying, oh, who deserves it, like I said, I tapped into this list more. If you're pulling up outfield, the third outfield position, Teoscar Hernandez from the Dodgers. He's like 700,000 votes past Castellanos. But Castellanos is having a horrible year. I just pulled up by record, or I'm sorry, by batting average. He's hitting 222. He is the third worst batting average for a qualified outfielder. And he only has what we're at home runs here. He has 11 home runs. So what though? Like, you're hitting 222. Like, you are awful. It's, and then, you go up to the top of this list, and I don't know him too well because I'm not a Cardinals guy, but Alec Burleson plays the same position as Castellanos. Like, keep that in mind. Right field, Alec Burleson from the Cardinals, like I said, 285 with 12 home runs and 36 RBIs. Castellanos is 222 with 11 home runs and 39 RBIs. So 3 more RBIs and, one more home run, but he's hitting like 60 points lower. He's not a great outfielder by any stretch. Like, he does not play a great right field. He's not Gold Glove. I don't think he's ever won a Gold Glove either, and I can guarantee you he won't. And like, that type of stuff is just like, man, come on. Like, can we be real with our voting? Like, can we be honest with ourselves? Like, that's such a disparity, Like, he's not the second best outfielder at, like, there's 3 outfield positions. They don't have it by left field or center field, right field, but that's basically what it is. He is by stretch it, like, he's not even close to being the second best right fielder in the National League, especially this year.
No, I mean, there is a lot of outfielders who aren't on this list. I wonder, because Jackson Merrill from the Padres, I wonder if he in the futures game? Is a futures game guys who are already in the league, or is that guys who are not in the league yet?
I feel like that is guys that aren't in the league yet, because I remember it was, I think Churio was in that game like a couple, like Jackson. I remember Jackson Holiday was in that game, and obviously he hasn't played. Well, he was this year, but prior to these guys getting the call, I think that's what the futures game is. I could be mistaken, but
no, I think that's right. I think that is right there. So I mean, you look at you have 3 San Diego Padres in Profar, Merrill, and Tatis Jr. I mean, Merrill's got 10 home runs, 9 doubles, a 284 average there. Brian Reynolds is batting 279. I mean, Cody Bellinger is batting 271 with 9 home runs. Like, all those guys are statistically having better years than Nick Castellanos, and he's still on the vote get there. I mean, what is Brandon Marsh? I didn't even look at Marsh there. Is he up? Is he up at the he's a center fielder, isn't he?
Yeah, he plays left ends. He can play all, but like right now it's either left or center. Like, it's flip flops because they sent I can't remember his name down the AAA, but drawing a blank there. But yeah,
where he'd qualify. Right there, found him, 269 average. I mean, Brandon Marsh is in there with 269 average right now. You look at the votes and you look at the players. It's like, okay, you're either an all-star player who everybody knows, or you're on a winning team. Like, that's it. That's your vote getters.
Yeah, like there's no reason that, like, I don't even care if Brian Reynolds isn't a right field, like, just because they have like outfield, like 6 spots basically of, the leading vote getter and then second place. Like, there's no reason Brian Reynolds should not be clearing Nick Castellanos. Like, Brian Reynolds has no protection in that Pittsburgh lineup. Like, nobody's good around him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, realistically, like, top of the league good. Like, there's no Harper, there's no Judge, there's no Trout, there's no Yelich, there's nobody like to that, and he's hitting 279. Like, insert him on the Phillies and he'd hit probably 310. Like, it would, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Like, I get Philadelphia fans will probably vote for those guys no matter what, but like, or whatever. Like, it's gotta be the Philadelphia influence, because there's no way the mainstream baseball fans that just like baseball and they're a Brewers fan or a Tigers, whatever it is, they're not voting for Nick Castellanos to be an all, like, he does not deserve it. Not even a little bit.
No, I agree. I've seen some stupid All-Star games. This is I'm getting close to boycotting the MLB All-Star game there. We're going to boycott it. That's what we're going to do there. So with that, that's about all we got. That's about all we got for today. Aaron, let everybody know where they can find you out there.
Yeah, as always, appreciate the crossover. I mean, we said we'd keep it short. Somehow we didn't manage to do that.
It always happens.
I'll take the blame. I'll take the scapegoat on that. But no, I mean, you can find me on Twitter at Brutally Honest. Just no T on the end of that. Brutally Honest Sports Podcast on all the major platforms, Spotify, Apple, and etc. So yeah, thank you, Trajan. As always, always have a good time.
It's always blast. We were talking NHL. That's what took so long. We were talking hockey. It just gets me going to talk about hockey, and then it was downhill from there. So with that, you guys know where to find me. Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage, Facebook there, Instagram, Wisco Sports on the Go. Same with Twitter there. You can find the podcast anywhere you get podcasts out there. But with that, this has been the Wisconsin Sports on the Go with Trage, Brutally Honest Sports crossover special. Until we talk to you guys next week on Monday, deuces.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day. Down to the river I have held the devil's hand, felt the weight of my own sin.